That makes sure I was recording. Alright, your favorite book, my favorite book, our favorite book, Christina's Ghost. Back into it. Hey, shout out to you if you the rock with all the videos. If you haven't, just go back and watch them all. Give it a like. You feel me? Shout out to you though if you on this channel. Yeah, we steamrolling through this though. I'm enjoying myself reading this. This is a nice read. If you want you a nice read, you can read it. You can read it with your brothers, your sisters, your lovers, your daughter, your mother, whoever you read books to or with. Christina's Ghost. You feel me? Chapter 10 though. You mean he's a ghost? A book could change your life, Chris discovered. Of course, Uncle Ralph groaned every time she opened her paperback, but he listened to the riddles once in a while. He even guessed the right answer afterward. They talked about other things as well. You're a real one, Christina, he said one day, but it didn't sound as if he was criticizing her. Actually, Chris thought it wasn't just the riddles that were making a difference. Uncle Ralph had changed since the great pancake disaster. Chris caught him looking at her with amusement, as if he just noticed she was a real person. Something more than a tomboy pest. She could hardly wait to tell Grandma. I be trying to put the book in the frame. I ain't worried about that this episode. Just listen. One evening, when mist rolled out the lake and into the air, chilly, Uncle Ralph built a fire in the study fireplace. Chris sat cross-legged on the floor, enjoying the coziness of firelight and crackling logs. What kind of train will make you put on your glasses? She read from her book. Uncle Ralph scowled. Ridiculous question. Eye strain. Get it? She snickered at the pained expression. They're becoming worse every day, Uncle Ralph said. How many riddles are there in that blasted book? Chris looked at the cover. 500. Uncle Ralph pretended to pull his hair. I'll never live through them, he exclaimed. 500 of the most annoying. Chris giggled. Did you buy any cocoa, Uncle Ralph? I can make us some. Certainly, I bought cocoa, Uncle Ralph retorted. He raised an eyebrow at her. How good are you at cocoa making compared to pancake making? That is, I'm terrified. Chris stopped short. Across the study, and well outside the circle of firelight, Russell Charles stood watching Uncle Ralph. She tried to keep her voice steady. Uncle Ralph looked over in front of the closet door. Please just look. Next page. Uncle Ralph looked. For what seemed a very long time, Chris held her breath as they stared at the little wavering figure. Then a log snapped, sending a shower of sparks up the chimney. Who's there? Uncle Ralph exploded. He hurried across the study and threw open the closet door. Where is he? He roared. Where did he go, Christina? He turned back from the empty closet. What kind of trick was that? It wasn't a trick, Chris told him. It was Russell Charles. He lived in this house a long time ago. I've seen him lots of times. Uncle Ralph shook his head as if he were trying to wake himself from a dream. You mean he's a ghost? He said. That's what you want me to believe? He jumped up and looked again into the closet. When he came back to the fire, his face was pale as the little boy's had been. I don't believe in ghosts, Christina, he said. I don't know what that thing was standing there, but it wasn't a ghost. Yes, it was, Chris insisted. I saw him the very first day we got here, Uncle Ralph. I tried to tell you about him then, remember? The words trembled over each other as she described the other time she'd seen Russell and how he had learned he liked being around someone who was cheerful. He's lonesome, she said, and I think he's scared too. This is ridiculous. Uncle Ralph's glance kept returning to the corner where Russell had stood. Scared of what? Scared of whatever's in the attic, Chris told him. There's something really bad up there. Uncle Ralph took her handkerchief from his pocket and patted his forehead. Something bad, he repeated. Excuse me. And when Chris hesitated, he leaned forward impatiently. "Go on," he said. "You might as well tell me." Chris described how the attic door had opened by itself, even with the chest pushed in front of it. She told about the footsteps and the terrifying cold, and then she repeated what she learned in the office of the Clearwater Journal. "I think the ghost of the little boy's tutor is up there in the attic," she said. "His name is Thomas Dixon. And he was an awful person, Russell. Must be scared of him." She almost said scared to death, but that wouldn't have made much sense. Uncle Ralph leaned back in his chair and gave her a weak grin. "You are really something," he murmured. "Work it all out, haven't you? Do you realize, Christina, that is exactly how myths and fairy tales began?" Chris frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean, that's all the ages people have taken." Next page. Facts. It continued on to the next page. "How am I supposed to know this? I don't fake no videos. I don't fake no reactions. I don't fake none of this stuff. You living with me. The camera's on. It's recording. In this case, the unfortunate murders of two people, an added fantasy to make the facts more interesting. You're doing that now. You've discovered we're living in a house where two murders took place a long time ago, and now you're seeing the ghost of the victim." Chris clenched her teeth. "You saw Russell too," she gritted. "I saw something. A trick of firelight. A little boy. You saw him." "All right, I saw something that looked like a little boy. But there has to be some reasonable explanation. I just haven't thought of it yet. So let's not get into that. So let's not get into a state. Okay? I am not in a state." Chris jumped up. Just when she was beginning to like Uncle Ralph, he had acted like the old Uncle Ralph. "I'm not lying either," she raised. Uncle Ralph held up a calming hand. "I'm not calling you a liar," he said. "I know you think you've been seeing a ghost or ghosts." He closed his eyes as if he were suddenly tired of the whole subject. "Let's forget it. Why don't you make that cocoa now?" "I don't want cocoa," Chris snapped. "I'm going to bed." "No cocoa?" Uncle Ralph shook his head in dismay. For a moment, his mournful expression reminded her of the man in the newspaper office. "I don't cook, and I'm glad of it," she announced, her voice squeaking with annoyance. "And you know what else? I'm going to have a career when I grow up." Uncle Ralph followed her to the foyer and watched her go up the stairs. "What's that all about?" he asked. He was still standing there when she slammed her bedroom door behind her. "Shout to you made this far. Guess what? We at chapter 11 now. We might only have like 1 or 2 chapters left until we hop into our next read. So what I need you to do is don't forget, like this video, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, hit that little bell thing, you feel me? Because we only gonna read more books. Feel me? We only gonna read more books. Shout out Christina's Ghost. This is an amazing book, by the way, though. Who wrote this book? Betty Renwright. Betty Renwright. Shout out Betty Renwright. It's a cool book. Till next video, I see y'all.